Hi folks, welcome to today's Coffee with John. I'm a bit thoughtful today because I've watched Schindler's List again. Now, I used to have a habit of watching Schindler's List every year, and I haven't watched it for about 5 years. The reason I watched it every year was to remind me of why I'm in the ministry, that we're here to oppose such evil and such wickedness. And I got to reflect on it a bit more, but tying in with this, 1 John, where we're looking at this incredible subject of God's love and our love in the midst of a dark world. And we come to this verse, which to me, every verse in this chapter is just like gold dust. I mean, I really genuinely just delight in it. And so we know and rely on the love God has for us. This is 1 John 4:16. So we know and rely on the love God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. So I didn't say yesterday about acknowledging Jesus as the Son of God. That's not just saying, oh yeah, Jesus is the Son of God. It's a commitment to him. That's the important aspect of it. And if we live in God and he in us, then we know and we rely on the love God has for us. Real love can be relied on, but only a commitment of faith will prove that. So if you're married and you're a woman and your husband made this profession at your wedding of how he was going to love you and all the rest of it, you do that. Sorry, I'm going to have to move this, I think. You do that, don't you? Because you trust that that's what's going to happen. Sorry for that. When you can know and rely on the love of your partner now, I guess that's what makes it so horrible when someone betrays that. But God is not going to betray us. He's demonstrated that in giving us his Son. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. You get a kind of intimacy when you're married and you go on. You get to know one another. You can sit in silence because you know what someone's thinking. And I think as you go on with God, you get a kind of intimacy as well, don't you? And you come to know who his love is. So I find myself in this incredibly perplexing world where I see a lot of sorrow and sin and pain and suffering in the world, in myself as well. I'm not separate from that world, and I'm not different from it. So where do people go? And for me, it's almost unbelievable that God is love and that we know and rely on the love he has for us. That's where our rock is to be. That's where our reliance is to be. I don't know, have you ever had the experience where you've relied on someone and they've let you down? Well, I think this is John's argument. This is certainly my argument as well. You can rely on the love that God has for you and he will never let you down. And how can you say that? How can you be sure of that? Well, because of what Jesus did. That's the most amazing thing. And how will he not also, as Paul argues, along with Christ, graciously give us all things? And so we live in love. God is love. We live in love. I think we need to reflect on that a whole lot more. I think we need to think about how we live. I think we need to think about what it means to live in love and to have God live in us. And I think we need to really, really meditate on that and think on that much, much more. It's such a beautiful thing. I probably won't watch, I'm coming back to Schindler's List, I probably won't watch Schindler's List again for a long time, because every time I watch it, it actually gets more and more difficult for me. I went to Auschwitz once, I don't think I'd go again. And I think there's a sense in which Auschwitz is the paradox, or it's the opposite of the love of God. Now, I know all the questions that people have, well, why did God permit it, and so on, and we can discuss and answer those at another time, I think. But my answer to the darkness of Auschwitz, as we were looking at it in our church on Sunday, my answer to that has to be and is, God is love. And we know and rely on the love God has for us. And we live in love as we live in God and God lives in us. God bless you. I'm just kind of a bit wowed by all of this, to be honest. I don't really know how to express it, so I hope I've conveyed something of it to you. See you tomorrow. Bye.